Hello again. Today, I'm going to show you how to write an indirect proof. So far, all the proofs that we've been doing on this channel and in this section have been direct proofs. But sometimes it's easier to just use an indirect proof. An indirect proof is when you assume that the opposite of what you are about to prove is true. So then we would assume that something is not true in order to prove what we're trying to prove. So if you prove your assumption is false, then what you're trying to prove is true. Let me show you an example. All right, so we have some angles here. You are given that the measure of angle WXZ is equal to the measure of angle ZXY. We're also given that ray XZ is between ray XW and ray XY. And we're to prove that ray XZ is the angle bisector of WXY. So using an indirect proof, we are going to assume that ray XZ is not the what? So we assume that ray XZ is not the angle bisector because that's the opposite of the proof statement. So what I've done here is I've given you a proof and we just need to fill in the blank. Okay, so there's some blanks here that we want to fill in to make this a paragraph proof. So if ray XZ blank the angle bisector, well, what are we assuming? We are assuming that ray XZ is not the angle bisector. Well, if that's the case, then blank is not equal to the measure of angle ZXY. Well, what do we know is the measure of angle ZXY? Up here, the measure of angle WXZ is equal to the measure of angle ZXY. So that means our blank here should be the measure of angle WXZ is not equal to the measure of angle ZXY. This contradicts the fact that what? What does this contradict the fact of? Well, it contradicts what you're given. What are we given? We are given that the measure of angle WXZ is equal to the measure of angle ZXY. So our next blank is the measure of angle WXZ is equal to the measure of angle ZXY. Thus, what we assume, what did we assume? We assume that ray XZ is not the angle bisector. But if that were the case, then these two would not be the same measure. But we know that these two angles have the same measure. So what we assumed is false. Now, because that's false, the proof statement, it must be true. So you prove that ray XZ is the what? Well, it's the angle bisector. And this is how you write an indirect proof.